Hey folks, Happy New Year. So much has happened around Leafland the last few weeks. The Leafs are kind of flailing around a little bit. We're going to break it all down for you right here on the OZone.
You're in the offensive zone, your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey folks, welcome to the OZone. That's Coach. We love you, KD. I'm the Devo. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We're going to break down some stuff here with respect to your beloved Leafs. I'm coming to you from the downtown T-Dot HQ of the OZ. Coach, where are you at?
So Happy New Year to you, Devo, and all of our subscribers. I'm in the international headquarters in London, and hey, that's a pretty sharp-looking hat. You get that for Christmas?
Well, it's they're coming hot off the presses, folks. So leave a comment. We'll see if we can get you included in the first round of merch that comes up.
I sense a giveaway coming.
Yeah, it's true, folks. Listen, hit subscribe, ring the bell. You won't miss any content. Like, share the video, help spread the word, and leave a comment. Bring us your comments. We need more comments. It helps drive the content, makes us get better. Okay. Let's get up to date with the biggest news here, Coach. They waived Sammy. Dennis Hildeby era, I guess, begins now. They've called him up. So the Leafs, I guess, really now have the Marlies starting goaltending tandem up on the big club. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, when Wall went down, we did say that. We did a podcast right after, and we said, hey, this could be a real problem because of Samsonov, right? He hasn't been right in all but maybe 2 games this year.
Yep.
So we, unfortunately, it's one of those things where we don't like being right about this type of stuff, but we were right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel terrible for Ilya Samsonov. Ilya is my guy.
He's your boy.
He's my man. Back from when we saw him there last year when we were down in the bowels of the ACC. No, they don't call it that anymore. Scotiabank.
Yeah.
But look, it had to be done, and you and I were talking about it on the ultra exclusive text there. You were asking when Wall gets back, do you waive him? And I said, look, I think he gets waived soon, next 72 hours. This exchange was from Saturday. I think you were going to the game.
Yeah.
So, you got to get him down there and get him, try and have him figure it out. So that part of it's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's any chance anyone claims him. And if they do, so be it. Then you can get rid of all of his cap hit, not just 1 million and change by sending him down. So that's the Samsonov piece. Yep. Bringing Hildeby up, boy, Leafs social media has been on overdrive here over the holidays with lots of topics. This topic seems to be split. You got to get him up here. He's playing great, or Hildeby, or you don't want to do that. You don't want to stunt his development. I got to be honest with you, Devo. I don't understand this talk about affecting his development. Did it affect Fraser Minton, the captain of the junior team? Like, he got a sniff. Just because he's a goalie, I don't get it. He's 22. And by the way, Felix Potvin, when he was 21, came up and took the crease from Grant Fuhrer.
That's right.
Way back when. I'm not saying he's Felix Potvin, but he's playing great. What's the harm in getting him a few starts here? Because you could not put Samsonov back in. He's up here. He's in his own head. He needs time to get rid of that if he can.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with you. I don't really understand the don't ruin the kid kind of deal. Maybe you can have that in the playoffs, but I mean, if you're bringing a goalie up in the playoffs, you're already pretty desperate. So every other team that's had a star goalie has come up when they're about 20, 21 years old and they become a star. This doesn't happen when you're 35.
Or they don't. But at least you find out, right? Yep. So what's the sense of over-ripening this guy? And interesting you say about the playoffs. Hey, look what happened last year.
Yeah.
Right? Joseph Wall got thrown into the fire, and he was better for it this year. He was the clear number 1 before he got hurt. I'm concerned about how he's going to be when he comes back, because that's a tough one, right? Your ankle.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
Better than a knee. Better than a knee, that's for sure. Wall, we were talking about him, likely, I don't know, 3-4 weeks away. There are several back-to-back games in that time. So, Hildeby is playing. He's not just sitting on the bench. Is this a doomsday scenario for the team? Can they weather this storm? Particularly given the way that they're playing. What do you think, Coach?
It's sure not great. But like we just said, let's see if the guy can play. And he is going to play. There's 3 back-to-backs in the first 21 days of January. So now, way back when, the starter, Martin Brodeur played all kinds of back-to-backs, right? So it could happen. But in this day and age, they don't like to do that. He's going to play, and he should play. It's not good for him to come up and sit. And I'm on record. I'm going on record here and saying I think he'll be fine. I actually think he's going to be good. My bigger concern is Martin Jones. We're looking at this guy like, we got no problem with Jones in that. Yeah, by comparison with Samsonov, maybe. But look, there's a reason he was available for under $1 million. Here's a look at I took a look at last year's stats, okay? Every goalie that started at least 20 games. And here it is. There's 56 of them. And in terms of save percentage, he's 52nd last year. So, let's not think that, okay, we got Samsonov out of the way, Jones just run with it. Both these guys are going to have to play. I will say, I do like his experience. He's been through it before, and he's been good before.
Sure.
But he hasn't been good for 2 or 3 years, Devo. We shouldn't expect so much out of him. Yeah,
no, it's true. And this is how the Leafs have constructed their lineup. We're bringing in guys like Jones. Last year we had a crease of 2 guys that had sort of struggled where they were before with Murray and Samsonov. So we're always trying to catch lightning in a bottle here. So let's see. Maybe it's Hildeby, right?
We got lucky, honestly, where we hadn't been before. Remember, in previous years, we had Calvin Pickard as the 3. He got claimed on waivers.
Yep.
If Jones had been claimed, then we would have been in trouble a long time ago.
Yes.
Right around the time we all got injured, we would have been. Yep. Now it's like you have to bring up him or that Petrozelli guy. So we got lucky with him sticking around. That's good. Hadn't happened in the past.
Yeah, it's true. It's a great point. Coach, we've seen some comments in the press from Keefe. We saw it, I guess, the other day, making some comments about accountability of the roster of the team. And he even made a move, which I saw firsthand. I went to the game, and he sat David Kampf on Saturday night against Carolina. What exactly do you make of this? Is this a new leaf, a new turning over a new leaf? Should I say? Is this a new side of Coach Keefe? What is this accountability line that he's trying to draw in the sand here?
So I'm going to try not to get worked up here with this answer. Let me just start by saying David Kampf, that's the issue. Sitting David Kampf's like rearranging the deck chairs in the Titanic. That does nothing for you. Yeah. I suppose maybe it's a start. But look, does he have the onions to sit one of his high-paid guys, right? There's four forwards, 3 making 11, you know who they are, and then Nylander as well. So those guys,
I would throw Riley into that. I would throw Riley into that group. That's the core 5 right there.
Fair enough. So does he have the stones to sit one or more of those guys for an extended period of time? Or in the case of the forwards, does he have the stones, the onions to move one of these guys down to the third line, which actually makes you much more balanced? You have one on each line. Look, here's guys that would be able to do that. John Cooper, John Tortorella, Cassidy, Pete DeBoer. Hey, the guy in Calgary who just retired, Treliving's old guy, Sutter, made a career out of that. And they don't. The players don't like those guys, but those coaches get more out of that team for being able to do this. Let's see if he can do it. But man, accountability. I've been talking about accountability, Devo, since that debacle in 2021 against Montreal. Someone should have been held accountable for that, whether it's the coach who loses that series up 3-1, or the GM who puts that together, or the roster. And it's just been okay going along. No one's been held accountable for freaking years. So he's going to start this down. Great. Let's see what he does. Does he have the stones to really do this? I don't think so, but let's see.
Yeah, I agree with you. And how ironic was it that the result of the game on Saturday night was the difference in the game were those power play goals or the lack of penalty kill, which obviously Camp excels at. Now the Leafs didn't do it on the power play either. They went 0 on the power play, and that I guess that was the difference in the game, special teams. But I mean, Camp plays a big part of the special teams. So it certainly gives frustrated fans fodder to yell about. Also, I agree with you with respect to Camp. It seems desperate to me. It seems like you got to do something overtly, but you're not going to do something to overflip the apple cart. I've always had the sense that Keefe is on eggshells around some of the stars. Listen, I think any coach should be on eggshells around Matthews. I don't care if he's having a good year, a bad year, or whatever. He's going to get 45 goals, and he's going to be one of the top 5 players on the ice no matter what. We can't argue with the fact that this year Nylander has been better than he has the previous 2 years, for sure. He's certainly earning his keep, and he may be pricing himself out of the Leafs for the future. You can't do much with him. Tavares, we've said it a number of times, he looks a little quicker this year than he did last year.
He has been good.
I would also go so far as to say that 44, Riley's had a pretty good year. He struggled a little bit last year coming back from injury. If you look at that top 5, I think it's very, very difficult to not start pointing a few fingers if you're going to start talking about accountability in the locker room at number 16, Mitch Marner. He's not had a solid year to date. He doesn't seem to have any jam. He doesn't seem to have any jump. I know we're going to get into that maybe a little later on, but it's a concern. The Leafs, leading up to Christmas, I think you and I both talked about it, Coach, that if this team was sort of sagging by Christmas time, there was a pretty good chance a move might be really considered. Now, the Leafs didn't look great in December, but they managed to eke out in November and December a lot of points in losses. And they were at like 110-point pace leading up to the week before Christmas. It's funny how things change, though, because now I think they're under 100-point pace and they're dropping. And they've clearly got goaltending issues on the horizon for the next, really this month is going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get any easier. What are your thoughts about Keefe? Is he going to be back on the hot seat?
I think he is. I think he should be. You're right about the record. You know, we talked about it for the last, 5, 6, 7 podcasts here where they're finding a way to get points. But, I mean, how many times have they scored 6 on 5 to eke out a point? And then their overtime record, that whole coin flip thing, it was coming up heads a lot. But it hasn't been good. There's a reason why you and I and KD all picked the Leafs to win this division. They're the best team in the division. Can't tell me otherwise. But they've come back to earth. They're not playing like it for sure. Mm-hmm. So, in terms of Keefe, you asked me about Keefe. Look, the record's pretty clear. He has a tremendous regular season record. In fact, I think going into that game in Columbus on the 29th, he was going into his 300th game, and he has the best current point percentage of any coach in history.
Yeah,
300
that's
games
something.
or more. Here's a little thing a tweet that shows that. He has been good. He has done a good job of getting points. He's been very consistent. And we harp on consistency on this thing all the time.
Yeah.
However, you know what else is consistent? The lack of playoff success. One series win in the 8-year Matthews era is just not enough.
No.
It's not enough. So like that, and really, Devo, that's all that matters. So let me ask you, like, do you think this team plays a style that can win in the playoffs?
No.
Now, you could say the roster's not constructed to win in the playoffs, and that would be fair too. If that, but do they play a playoff style?
No.
You know what I look at? Look at a team like Philadelphia. No garbage talent. They're rebuilding, but they play hard every night because they have to, because they're held accountable to play hard, and that's playoff style hockey, right? I'm not seeing that out of the Leafs. I'm not seeing that out of Keith.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot on this topic that we can go into. I want to ask you this, though, Coach. This is a milestone, 300th career game, and he's got the highest winning percentage in the history of the NHL. And you think about some of those teams early on that were like just winning every night back when there were 6 teams in the league, 10 teams in the league. That's a pretty amazing thing. Should this not be something that management, like, should Shanahan not be out every night pumping Keith's tires to make him put his chest out a little bit further so he feels confident enough to, and maybe grows the cojones to start driving some real accountability with this team? Is that a solution?
It's a great question. So, yeah, I mean, he has not disciplined his stars whatsoever.
Ever.
Right? He hasn't.
Yep.
And so the question you just raised is why? Is it that he feels like the organization doesn't have his back this year? They certainly did in the past. But does he just not believe in it? Does he not have it in him? Yeah, that would take away one of the variables for sure.
Yes, that's right.
Shanahan is just, his silence speaks volumes on all of
this.
this.
It's incredible. He's never around. And I think he could do something here. I think he should do something here before he has to make a rash decision, because I think that's the only other alternative. You asked me about this team. Do they play the right way? It's funny. They've brought in players in the past that play tough, that play physical, but they come to this team and then they don't. A great example, a rat like Bertuzzi, kind of quiet, playing, kind of playing Leafs hockey, not Bertuzzi hockey. Domi, same thing, kind of playing Leafs hockey, not Domi hockey. I'm not sure. I mean, that would be a culture and coaching thing to me. But no one seems to have any jam. You mentioned they squeaked out a couple of 6-on-5 goals or 6-on-4 goals to tie games up and steal some points here and there. And that's great. And you can see the desperation of the team whipping around, putting the puck in dangerous spots, jamming it, and playing with jam. But why can't they do that when it's 5-on-5? Why can't they do it when it's 5-on-4? They don't. They haven't. And I'm very concerned with the fact that Marner just will not stick his nose in anywhere, and he seems to be sulking. And I think you got to take that away from the team.
Yeah, he's not only past couple of years, he's been voted at the end of the year first team NHL, right? Which means he's the top right winger in the league. He's not even the top right winger on his team this year.
Yeah.
Something's going on there. But hey, playing tougher. Good news. Ryan Reeves is skating now. Maybe our problems are solved. Get him in there.
I don't think that's the solution, but we'll leave that to another day, folks. There you have it. Everything you need to know about your Leafers. You keep coming back here, and we got you covered on the OZone.